and we get to know a lot more about Philippines. So, all right, without further ado, our topic today is why is it more fun to invest in the Philippines? Okay, so as we know, Philippines, it's known to have beautiful beaches, delicious food, very friendly people. As you can see from Drew's face, he's always smiling, very warm. So Philippines is actually located in the Pacific Ocean. It's near the equator, and it's the Republic of Philippines, which consists of 7,000. I actually did know as well. It consists of 7,640 islands within. So we are blessed today. We've got our speaker, Emmanuel Andrew, also known as Drew, like we all know him, a very pleasant face. Managing Director of IQI WA in Philippines. So I'll just give you a little bit of rundown of his background. I won't go into detail. I'll let him, present himself. So Drew has 11 years in the real estate industry. So he has founded the corporation Calavia in 2018 together with his 3 other esteemed partners. So Senior Sales and Leasing Executive, Department Head of Leasing and Relocation, as well as the Senior Business Development Manager are just some of his roles. So, I think you have a very sound experience, at a very young age as well. So tonight, Drew will be sharing with us this evening about beautiful Philippines. We would like to know more about it, as well as the investment opportunities. So I'll leave it to you.
All right. So good evening. Thank you, Alina. It's nice to be here together with the WA team. Thank you so much for having me. And we're very much excited to share with you, not just for Perth, but also globally, how beautiful Metro Manila and Philippines is. Again, our title for tonight is It's More Fun to Invest in Philippines. And later on, you will learn why it's more fun for foreign investors like most of you. And we hope that tonight we will add value to everyone, and you will realize that there's also a big potential in the Philippine market. All right. Again, I'm not going to say so much about myself anymore. I think what Alina has mentioned is more than enough. So I think we shall proceed with our main goal for today, to present the beautiful country of the Philippines. All right, so I'll be sharing with you our slides. One moment. Okay. So can you see the screen? Please let me know if you can see it clearly. Yeah? Alina, can you see the presentation? Okay, not so sure.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Okay, let me do it again. All right, okay. So why Philippines real estate remains resilient? Again, as we know, this COVID-19 has changed not just the Philippine market, but the entire world, the real estate market. But then we in the Philippines still remain resilient and very positive about the current situation, especially the real estate segment of the country, simply because first, in the past 10 years, we have been experiencing growth in the Philippine market, in the economy of the Philippines. Last year, we were targeting around 6 to 6.5% GDP, and then we landed at 5.9%. Before, we have reached a 6.1% growth and 7% growth back in 2016. And we're also expecting that moving forward, we're going to be having
I think we lost Drew.
Okay, excuse me. I think we'll probably wait for Drew to come back online.
Yeah, I think the line dropped. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe we need to text him. Let me text him.
Yeah, I think he should be coming back.
While we're waiting for Drew to come back online, maybe Elena, you can
William,
let us know what is happening next. No, in 2 weeks' time. What is going to happen in 2 weeks' time?
Okay. Oh,
We have what was the topic again? We will have another.
Okay, so in 2 weeks' time, so in July, we'll be having, instead of having every week, the next event, it will be in 17th of July. Our speaker, Joelle Low from IQI Head of Team, will be sharing with us about Sabah. Yeah, and it's about property outlook about East Malaysia. So Sabah.
That's exciting. Yes,
Yes.
Sabah. And I think end of the month is going to be talking about migration, isn't it? From memory.
Yeah. So that's 17th July, and then 31st of July, we will be talking about migration opportunities again. So it's we will touch on Australia, like a skilled migration, and that will be presented by our migration agent, Kenny G.
Welcome back, Drew.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much. Sorry about that. Some
okay.
technical problems with my phone.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay.
All right, I'll go back with the presentation, huh? All right, thank you. All right, so as what I'm saying, the country has been experiencing growth in the past 10 years, regardless of whoever sits in the position. We've been growing since 1986. And like what I said, 2016 was remarkable to a point that we have reached 7% growth. And of course, a lot of you guys will be asking, that is prior COVID-19. So what's going to be happening with the Philippine economy during this pandemic, okay? The good thing is that a lot of agencies are having a great, or I mean, not so great, but then it's a positive overview of what's going to be happening in the economy of the Philippines. So we're foreseeing around -1 to 4.3% based on Moody's, World Bank, Fitch solution. Basically, we're comparing it with the market back in 1998 during the Asian financial crisis, which is actually the worst scenario for the real estate market in the Philippines, wherein we have around -0.6% GDP during that time. And that was actually the slowest in 22 years. But then, according to a lot of agencies also, being part of the developing countries, we're going to be having a great or positive forecast about the economy. And according to S&P Global, we could be the second largest or fastest growing economy in Southeast Asia next to Vietnam, having around 9%, 6.5 to 9% by 2021. And again, like what we've been telling our investors is that this situation is just temporary, okay? And we know that real estate is all about vision. It's all about what's going to happen in the future, right? It's all about forecast. And for now, it's very low, but then there's a great opportunity because that gives a lot of window for investors to get or invest in the Philippines at the same time to capitalize on the possible growth by 2021. And again, from this point until 2021 is only what, 6 months or 5 months? So again, this is the perfect time for us to invest. And again, it's a perfect time also for us to grow our money by 6.5 to 9%. Later on, I will be discussing how much is the possible property appreciation in the Philippines. Okay. Another great thing that we have to emphasize is that prior to COVID-19, there have been a lot of government initiatives when it comes to infrastructures. We have the Build and Build project initiated by the government. And one of the most exciting things that we have to highlight is the development of the Mega Manila subway system. So again, this is the first subway system in Metro Manila. And we know for a fact that every station that this train will pass through, all those lands, all those properties around it will definitely appreciate. Okay, and that will be the best locations that you have to highlight with our clients. And if you're an investor, basically all those projects around that area will definitely appreciate and grow its value. This is actually the sweet spot that we would like to highlight as well. Metro Manila, or the Philippines in general, has a very low inflation rate. At this point, we have a 2.7 low inflation rate. And then we also have a low interest rates of 2.75. For the mortgage rate, according to the last we had, it's going to be around 5% to 5.6, depending on the banks also. A lot of people are asking what's the difference between the Asian financial crisis and then the global recession in 2008 compared to the COVID-19 pandemic. Of course, it's a combination of health and economic financial crisis, but then we're more positive compared before because again, we have a very low inflation, and that really is a big change compared to 1997 to 2008. And then second is that we are more liquid. With the growth that we have experienced in the past years, basically it's more of like a saving that has been done by the government for the country. And then now everyone is more liquid together with the banks. So now banks are more encouraging about bank loans, etc. And we're very positive that there will be no oversupply of condominiums because apparently amidst the situation, there's still a huge demand from local individuals or investors as well as foreign investors. It's more fun to invest in the Philippines simply because we have a very high rental yield. If you're going to compare our rental yield among our other Asian countries, we're actually second, next to Indonesia, which is 6.13%. That 6.13% is actually the average all throughout the country. Okay, so basically, if you're going to check the rental yield or the rentals in CBDs, like for example, Makati City, Bonifacio Global City, Bay Area, Ortigas Center, you can actually check around 7% to 9% yield in residential long-term leasing, especially when the offshore gaming operations came in 2016. The rental for the residential properties shoot up, and that's why we have a 9% yield in those areas. Again, even if we have a pandemic right now, we are assuming that the rental will be dropping to around 10% to 15%. But then given that a drop, we are also expecting around 6% rental yield. So imagine, despite of the situation right now that we have a pandemic, we're still expecting around 6% rental yield. And I think that is very exciting and interesting for most of the foreign investors. And then, of course, next that we would like to highlight is the property appreciation. So since 2013, we have recorded a tremendous capital or property appreciation. So 2013, we had 14.37%. And last year, we had 29.1% growth year on year when it comes to property prices. So imagine if you buy a property of 10 million pesos, then times 29.1% just after a year, then that will be your growth. Again, this capital appreciation or property appreciation is more on the project selling also. So the reason why it's quite good, well, not really quite, but it's very good to invest in the Philippines is because after you purchase the property, there's also a huge demand for the residential projects, especially for those who are working for the BPO segment and then also the offshore gaming operations. As you know, the Philippines has been a central hub of business process outsourcing next to India. And we see that this industry will be growing more by 2021 and 2022. The offshore gaming operation has been huge in the Philippines since 2016. And you will see later on that we only have a very low vacancy, which is 10% for residential, and then 6% for the offices. Again, we contribute the low vacancy rate in residential because of the offices. Around 30% of the offices in Metro Manila are being utilized by the BPO industry or the process outsourcing industry, and then another 40% are being used or utilized by the POGO industry or the offshore gaming operations. Okay, as you can see here, we're highlighting the offshore gaming operations because they were actually the main drivers of growth in the past 4 years since 2016. So just like how BPO or business process outsourcing did in 2008, that was actually the time that we're having the global recession. So business process outsourcing, we're able to pull up the market in the Philippines. And we're also seeing that will happen now in 2020 and 2021 when BPO industry and POGO industry will pick up all those losses during the lockdown. Okay, so again, 2021 will be very exciting because again, the stop that happened at this point, basically we're expecting a V growth for the country. So if you can see here, we had around 156,000 or around 160,000 one-bedroom units or apartment that were rented out only for the POGO industry. So imagine if you have a property in those locations wherein the offshore gaming operations are, then definitely we can assure you that your property will be leased out easily. Again, the Philippines has been a destination for international investors. So number one is Chinese investors. I think that's quite common now for most of the countries. The Chinese market has been very aggressive in investing in a lot of locations worldwide, and then followed by Americans. And then we have Singaporeans, Taiwanese, Hong Kong, Japanese, British, Koreans, and Australians being ninth on the top 10 foreign investors in the Philippines. Again, there's a huge reason why they have seen a huge potential in the Philippines. And again, that is the high appreciation of the property value, and of course, the high rental yield and the high demand from the BPO and then the other segments also. Again, in 2016, we have noticed a huge increase in demand from Chinese market. SMDC, I'm not so sure if you're familiar with the brands yet, but SMDC is one of the biggest brands that we have in the Philippines, one of the biggest developers, and 50% of their sales last year is contributed by the Chinese market. Same thing happened to Ayala Group, one of the largest. So around 40 to 50% is from the Chinese market as well. And together with the Mega World, the third largest developer in the country, 30% of their sales came from Chinese market. And as you can see, the July IQI is supporting this data as well. So you can see the top 10 countries wherein a lot of Chinese investors consider to invest in. And again, Philippines is one of them, one of the top 10 countries that you can actually invest or try to put in your money. As you know, the main reason also why we were able to survive the 2008 recession is that as a lot of OFWs are investing in the Philippines. OFW is the Overseas Filipino Workers. I know for a fact that you're very much familiar that you see a lot of faces like this in Perth, in Australia, in Malaysia, and all over the world. Okay, so we're like 2.3 million Filipinos all over the world. So most likely you will stumble or meet one of us as you go along to the market or anywhere else in the world. Okay, and again, that has contributed a lot in the growth of the Philippine market. Because of the OFWs, they were able to level up the way of living of most of the Filipinos in the country. And of course, with the mindset of Filipinos to grow their money and invest, so they have learned to invest in the Philippines. A lot of the developers, a lot of agents are going around different countries like Canada, Australia, USA, Vietnam also, and then other Asian countries, Middle Eastern countries, to sell properties abroad. And again, the international segment or market has been a huge contributor for the growth of the real estate segment in the Philippines. So here, I'm just showing you a portion of the distribution of all the OFWs or Filipinos abroad. We have 1.6% in Australia, 1.6% of the 2.3 million. So that's quite huge a number in Australia. So I think a lot of you are thinking like, okay, Drew, I'm already done with economic status, with the benefits of investing in the Philippines, with high rental yield of 6 to 9%, and also the high property appreciation. But I want to know now how to invest in the Philippines. Is foreigner allowed to invest in the Philippines? Okay. The answer is yes, of course. You can invest in the Philippines, and it's quite easy to invest in one of those huge and nice properties that we have right now in the Philippines. So just like it's quite common to Asian countries that 40% of the condominiums are allowed to be owned by foreigners, okay? So we have a 40-60 ratio So 60% must be Filipinos. And if you're living in the country, if you've been an expat here for 2 years, or you've been living here for the past 3 years or 5 years, then you will be entitled also to get a home loan, okay, or bank loan. But then if you're an investor who's not really based in the Philippines or based abroad, you can invest, you can buy a property, but then you're not going to be eligible for bank loan or financing. Some developers are offering what do you call that, in-house financing, but then of course the interest is quite higher compared to the bank loans. Okay. Unfortunately, foreigners are not allowed to own land or lots or house and lot in the Philippines. But then we also would like to highlight some ways wherein you can. Okay, there's of course, just like anything else, there's also some ways on doing that, and these are the legal ways. Of course, number one is that if you're married to a Filipino or Filipina, then you can actually purchase a lot or a land in the Philippines. What is very common here is that a lot of Americans or British individuals married to a Filipina are purchasing resorts because they love the beaches. If you've seen the video earlier, you would really love to go to Cebu, to Boracay, to Palawan, just to explore and enjoy the warm temperature and then the cold water of the white sand and pink sand that we have here, right? So a lot of investors are really thinking of having that. And if you can also take note, I think around 20% of the resorts in Boracay, in Cebu, are actually owned by foreigners. And they use this also as their retirement land. Later on, I will be showing with you that it's possible also to retire in the Philippines. And that is also an avenue or a way for you to invest or buy properties in the Philippines, especially the beaches and then the land that you wish to buy. Okay, another way that you can actually think of is that you can create a domestic corporation wherein 40% belongs to the foreign investor and then 60% belongs to the Filipino partner. You can actually purchase around 1,000 square meters of land or 1 hectare of land in the Philippines. It's going to be forced through under a corporation. This is what I mentioned earlier. Basically, if you would like to retire to the Philippines, you can actually purchase a land or a property here without any restriction. There are more detailed guidelines for this one. What I can do is that I can share this to a WA team so that they can also share to those who are interested to explore this avenue of investing in the Philippines. Okay, are foreigners required to secure a visa to buy a property? The answer is no. It's not really necessary for you to buy a property, so no need to have a visa. Visa is only necessary for you to get a bank loan. Okay, if you've been based here for 2 years, if you've been working or doing business here in the Philippines, then it's important that you have your visa with you. All right. Right now, I'm going to be showing you the 2 locations that are famous for all the investors. The Makati city has been the old central business district. So at this point, it's fully developed and very few lands there for development. What's happening in that area right now is that they're just rehabilitating the old buildings and trying to come up with more newer or fresher look. But then the property value on those locations are quite high, and we're expecting the same thing to happen on those other developing areas. All right. Bonifacio Global City, where I live now and where the office of IQI is the new central business district. It's actually a developing area, and we have a quite huge land for development. So again, when it comes to capital appreciation or property appreciation, we would say that there's more potential in this area. And we have a lot of projects in this area that you would like to know, because again, imagine it could happen again by next year that the capital appreciation will be around 20%. Again, there's a cessation at this point, but then by 2021, we're expecting that property value will shoot up again. All right. Bonifacio Global City is the home of Coca-Cola, Facebook. We have Google also in this country now. They moved here last year. We also have some other headquarters like pharmaceutical companies, who are located here in Central Business District. Okay, so a lot of you would be asking what would be the taxes. For example, if in the event that you have purchased the property, you have leased out the property for like 5 years, and then you decide to sell the property. Okay, of course, there are some taxes that you have to shoulder. And the first thing is that you have to shoulder the documentary stamp tax. That's number one. That is 1.5%. And then, of course, for the capital gain tax, that will be around 6%. And then for the registration fee, that will be around 0.6%. Transfer tax is quite cheap. It's 0.5% or sometimes 0.75 depending on the location. So overall, you could have around 9%, sorry, around 7% of all the taxes that you have to pay, or around 9%, sorry, 9% of all taxes that you have to pay when you are selling a property in secondary market. And maybe a lot of you would be asking also, how's the secondary market? Are there a lot of takers as well? The answer is yes. There are some investors who prefer to buy something that's ready and visible. And at this point, honestly, there are more investors in the secondary market more than the project selling market, simply because the property value here in the Philippines has dropped in 10% because of the pandemic. But then again, they see that this is a good chance for them to invest and get property at a low price. And then again, ride on the capital or property appreciation by 2021 and 2022. If you remember mentioning about the build and build project and then the Mega Manila subway system, that project together with the other projects of the government will end by 2025. So again, once the infrastructure is done and completed, we expect a huge or tremendous capital or property appreciation. So again, if you buy a project selling or a off-plan, as familiar with your country, then definitely you will experience a tremendous growth with your investment. So today we'll also mention about the freehold and leasehold restriction and differences. In Metro Manila, most of the properties are under freehold or perpetual ownership. So when you buy the property, basically it's going to be under a condominium corporation, and that is actually valid for 50 years. But then again, based on experience, it can be renewed because a lot of people will be willing to continue with the property unless otherwise the board decided to sell and majority of the shareholders decide to sell it, then of course you will get also a portion of that. Again, for us in the Philippines, we don't have much leasehold. I think we only had around 2 or 3 in the past years, and those are normally for the condo-hotel business. What's the procedure for buying Philippine property? The first thing is that if you found the right property for you, then definitely just have to sign the reservation agreement. And then after that, you have to pay the reservation agreement. Nowadays, we have a paperless and we have the online transactions. A lot of investors right now from abroad are doing it, and they just do online payment. And the submission of requirements, we have a portal for most of the developers right now, and everything is now online. So it makes everything convenient for the foreign investors as well. And then of course, the signing of the contract to sell, which we have to send over via parcel. And of course, that has to be notarized and consularized by the consulate there in your areas. Okay, sorry. So that's the process for investing in off-sale projects. And then what are the requirements? So we have basic requirements actually for investing in project selling off-sale projects. So we have the valid IDs, proof of billings, signed reservation form or agreement, and then buyer's information sheet, reservation fee, and of course the signed contract to sell. And then what are the taxes that you have to cover when you purchase an off-plan project or a pre-selling project? Normally, with the selling price that we are offering, with the developers offering, that is already included. The documentary stamp tax, registration fee, assurance fund, transfer tax, real estate tax, processing fee, the utility bill deposit, and then the move-in fees. So for some developers, it's not really included. But then as we give you a quote, normally we included it already so that you will not really think of whatever other fees that you should be paying in the future. And then as you purchase the property after the turnover, you have actually three options. Either you pay in cash, the balance, or if you've been here in the country for the last 2 years doing business or working here, then you will be entitled for in-house financing or bank financing. For bank financing, you can actually get up to 20 years of financing, of course, with low interest rates. For at this moment, we have 5.6. I think that's the highest that we have right now for the bank loan, for the home loan. 6 months prior to the turnover, we advise our clients that they have to really plan out or decide how are they going to pay the remaining balance. It could be like what we said, bank financing or in-house financing. For most of the investors abroad, what they do is that they pay the lump sum or the turnover fees, or you can actually ask also the developer if you can do a lump sum every year, other than your monthly amortization or your monthly payment. So later on, or maybe next time, we can present to you the more specific details of this one per project or per developer. So at this point, I would like you to know more about the project that we have in Bonifacio Global City. As what we mentioned earlier, Bonifacio Global City is the new central business district in Metro Manila, and it's thriving, and there's so much development here. And like what I've been telling our investors, if you go here, you would feel like you're in Singapore or in a more modern Metro Manila. I think most of you has a perspective or vision of Metro Manila as the old Manila. So definitely it has changed over the years. And we're very proud to present to you the project that we are actually focusing at this point. And that is the Park McKinley West in McKinley West area. In the Philippines, we are quite known for having townships, okay? So when we say townships, it's actually a huge piece of land wherein you have the residential, you have the commercial, and you also have the offices. Basically, it's a self-sustained community that is being developed by one developer, or a partnership with developers, okay? So for this one, this is actually a township of Mega World. So I have mentioned that earlier, one of the top 3 developers in the country, and they were responsible for quite a lot of townships. And because of the success of their townships in other locations, they have decided to create another one in Bonifacio Global City. So again, it's where you live, you work, you play, and also you learn. So this is a more dynamic, more fun kind of community that I think everyone would love to be part of. So this one is a 34.5 hectares of land. And then we have 3 residential buildings at this point, and then 1 residential village, and we have 7 office buildings. So again, we highlight the office buildings because that is where the clientele comes from, no? So basically, you have the BPO industry, you have the POGO industry, you also have the headquarters of the multinational companies. And most of our clients for rental, for leasing, came from those industries. That's why the developers always incorporate the office building, and then of course the lifestyle, the commercial segment, and the residential, to make sure that it is a self-sustained community. I think it's very important, especially during this kind of situation, during pandemic, that you are living in a self-sustained community, because at least in times like a lockdown, you can still survive. You know, you have the shopping center, or you have the supermarket downstairs, you have the pharmacy, you have a small hospital or healthcare facility in the area, you have a school in the area, and then you have also the office area. So it's very important, especially during this time, that you have everything integrated in one community. And again, it's not huge, it's not really a city, but it's a 34.5 hectares. The project, Park McKinley West, is considered as a upper mid-market. This one is a low density sorry, not the low density, but it's a low floor project. It has only 25 floors. And as you can see, there's also a component of commercial, which is around 2 floors. And this will be the longest mall in the Philippines. Okay. The project is composed of 6 towers. We are now selling Tower C, or the third tower. Tower A and B was sold out in 2019, and then now we're launching Tower C. We just launched it in March, but then a pandemic happened, so we had to stop a bit. So there's a slowdown with the take up. But then right now, there's a huge demand coming from the Filipino investors together with the foreign investors also. So this is the picture of the facade of the project. Next to it is actually an office building. So again, those tenants, those expats or expatriates will be the prospective tenants for those investors who wish to buy properties here. This is the main lobby. And then we would like to highlight also the proximity to the other CBDs. Okay, we would like to highlight also the proximity to the airports. So basically, we're like 9.3 kilometers away from the airport. And later on, we can show you that from the airport, we have the subway system that will be done by 2025. And one of the stops is actually located in this area in McKinley West. So again, if you're really an expat or expatriate working here in McKinley West or BGC, and if you're going back to your country for the holidays, then going to the airport is not really difficult. It's very convenient. And then of course, it's very near the other central business districts. So for example, if you work in Makati City or other areas, then definitely moving in and out of your hometown or your community is very convenient as well. And that would take you around 10 to 15 minutes going in and out of the community that we have here. And then we have a lot of embassies, we have a lot of restaurants, we have St. Luke's Medical Center, we have Polo Club, we have a lot of malls. Actually, we have, I think, 4 huge malls in this area. We have a lot of international schools. We have British School of Manila, we have International School Manila, we have Chinese School Manila, we have Korean International School. So it's a self-sustained community. And again, everything is just like a stone's throw away from where you live. This is the entire project. So you would see that there's a huge portion allocated for the villages. Okay, other than the condominiums, a lot of expats, also expat families, are staying in the villages, and that is for the rental as well. And then you have, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have around 7 buildings of offices in the area. So I think if you purchase something in this building in Park McKinley West, then we have a lot of possible tenants for you. So this is just a brief summary of the project. So the property would be around 35 square meters for the small 1-bedroom that we have, up to 336 for a penthouse 5-bedroom unit. And overall, we only have around 992 for the Tower A and B. And together with Tower C, we will have around 1,300 units. This is the design consultants that the developer has hired. And they've been partners of the developer in the past 10 years. And they've been delivering quality projects. The unique features of this one is that we have a penthouse unit, but then for the investors abroad, normally what they get is the small unit, the 35 square meters, and that can be easily leased out. And that is actually candidate for the Airbnb service. So later on, I will show you that there is an investment floor wherein majority are under around 40 square meters below, and that is actually pegged to be the area for the Airbnb business. Okay. This is a sample of 1-bedroom unit, around 35 square meters. I'm not sure if you're using a square feet in your location, but this one would be around 350 or 290 square feet if you're going to convert it. Okay, so this is 35 square meters. Then you have a bedroom with modular closet, common toilet and bath, kitchen with mechanical ventilation, 2-burner cooktop, and then split type air conditioning unit. And that comes with the unit, okay? And all the units with this size has a small balcony. so it doesn't feel like claustrophobic, you know. So at least you have an option to go out and then have some breeze, especially if you're overlooking the nice Park McKinley West and McKinley West area, especially the villages also. Okay, for this one, the contract price is 261 Australian dollars. Okay, and then this is the sample payment terms that we have. So 10% down payment, which is 26,000. And then you have an option to pay 30% spread out for 48 months, which will be around 1,600 AUD every month. Okay, that's very cheap. And then for the balance of 60%, it's either you will pay it in cash, or if you're based in Manila, then you'll be entitled for bank loan or in-house financing. Now, if you're based abroad and then you wish to settle this one, you can actually opt to request for the lump sum to be paid every year. For example, in the next 4 years, then you can actually spread out a lump sum of around 40%. So that at the end of upon turnover, then you will only be paying around 20%. Okay, that will be more flexible and convenient for the investor. So this is one of the famous cuts that are being bought by a lot of investors, simply because this is also the type of unit that is easily leased out. So this is the configuration or the floor plan for the 1-bedroom unit. All the units has a balcony, and again, you would notice that it's well utilized. The ones in the middle, the 40 plus square meters, it actually has an open kitchen. Okay, you can actually make it open so that it gives a more open and more flowy feel. So this one is the investment floor. Why do we call this as an investment floor? Because this is actually being pegged for the Airbnb business. Because as you know, prior to COVID-19, a lot of travelers are using Airbnb other than the hotel service, right? And Megaworld has actually cited this potential for the investors, because at least other than you renting out your property for the usual process of long-term lease, then you can actually lease out your place for a higher rental yield of around 12%. So for those individuals who are actually subscribing to Airbnb business, the rental yield goes up to 12% to 14%, depending on the season as well. Okay, so from 5th floor to 14th floor, we have the smaller cuts located in this area, simply because a lot of demands coming from Chinese market, wherein they buy 1 floor, and then they really develop it as a short-term stay services. Okay, so that's the idea why we have a lot of small units on those floors. But then as you go up, the bigger cuts will be located. We have the 2 bedrooms, we have the 3 bedrooms on the higher floor from 16th floor up. And again, the 2-bedroom unit is also one of those units that are high demand when it comes to being rented out. So a lot of families, expats are utilizing around 100 square meters, or around 1,000 square feet if you're going to convert it. So how much would that cost you to buy a 2-bedroom unit in Park McKinley West? So that is around 756 AUD, and then 10% down payment. Same thing, 30% spread out for 48 months. That will be around 4,700 AUD every month. And then again, 60% could be spread out depending on your preference when it comes to payment. You can create some lump sum every year, as what I mentioned earlier, and then only 20% to be paid off at the end of upon turnover of the property. So this one, Tower C, will be ready by 2024 or first quarter of 2025. This is for the 3-bedroom unit, 119 square meters. But for the foreign investors, they normally prefer the small ones and the 2-bedroom unit. But then if you're interested with the 3-bedroom, then that will also be great. For this one, we have around 4,700 every month. For the, oh, sorry, I think there's a mistake with the pricing here. Yeah, this was the one for a 2-bedroom also. So sorry about that. This is the feature also, basically for the countertop, for the kitchen features, that will be provided AC unit, and and then the floor will be of tiles. And I think we also have the engineered wood for some portion of the unit. Then we have a bathtub for the bigger units. And then we also have a maid's room for 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom unit. Again, all the units in Park Maculi West are offering the balcony and a split type air conditioning unit as well. So this one is the penthouse unit. So I'll skip this one. Of course, we have a huge and very useful amenities. We have the game room, children's playground, function rooms, outdoor yoga deck, a yoga room, swimming pool. So the idea is that it will be a sanctuary for you. So of course, after a busy work at in your office or in the other CBDs, you would like to have a refuge or an escape, and you want to make sure, or the developer wants to make sure that we offer that in all our tenants, in all our residents. So that's the idea, that they're very much generous when it comes to providing amenities or ample amenities for our residents. So this is just a sample photo or render of the amenities that we have for the property, for the project. This one is just a little motivation for everyone, because I know for a fact that a lot of people are sometimes being pessimistic because of COVID-19. But then again, we've been really an ambassador of optimism for everyone. And we really see that with this particular situation, regardless of whichever country that you are in, I think there's a lot of chance for us to really seek an opportunity right now, especially in real estate, because high or low, there's always an opportunity. It depends on what you wish to accomplish, right? So there's also a chance for us to really change our vision, because again, in real estate, it's all about vision. It's all about what's going to happen to the property after 5 years, after I purchase it, right? So again, if you're really an investor, then I think it's very important that you have a vision. And again, the vision or the future tells us that it's still good to invest in real estate. It ceased now, it's stopped now because of the situation, but then 2021 is quite approaching. 6 months from now, the property value will shoot up again. It's either you join the boat, like what the bosses are telling us, or you will be left out, right? So again, I think this is a perfect opportunity for us to really invest in real estate. May it be in Perth, may it be in the Philippines. And later on, I will be mentioning that diversification is very important. Nowadays, we have realized that investing in stocks is not just enough, right? So make sure that you also have your real estate investment. Again, if you have invested in Perth, then maybe it's rightful also, or very smart for you to invest in Malaysia or maybe in Philippines. Because again, investment is all about diversification also, right? And again, in investing, we really have to be innovative as well. And we have to make sure that we can be more creative in making sure that our investment will yield something more beneficial for us. All right, so that ends my presentation. So we're now open for questions.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Drew. Okay.
Thank you also. So sorry for that.
Thank you. That was very good, especially, you ended the last bit about, you have that little thing of COVID and all that. So, really, really just to, we have to be optimistic, be positive, and, we just hope that things will get better. So, okay. Okay, so is there any questions that, you guys would like to just post on the chat room? I've got one. Yeah. Okay, I've got one here. Okay, from Leanne. Okay,
Hi,
so with in-house financing, does that mean financed by the developer, Drew?
That's correct. Yeah. So basically, the developer has created the plans or program wherein they can provide you an in-house financing, simply because they understand also that some investors would like to really keep the property, or some of them are not really able to provide the last payment on the turnover. So they prepare that program for those kind of investors. And that is actually good for 2 years, I think, to 3 years.
Okay. And what is the rate actually? What is the, yeah?
Normally it's around 10% to 11%. So it's quite high, honestly, yeah.
Okay.
But I think it depends on your financial needs also.
Yeah, it depends, like case to case. Yeah, case to
It's
case.
too high, Lina. Yeah, too high. Lina's like, wow, okay, yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay, we got from Lily. Okay, what is the interest rate in the house finance in your in?
Right now, it's 5.6 for the most of the banks right now. It's 5.6% interest rates.
Okay. Okay. There is quite high. Yeah, that's for owner occupier, because I understand that owner occupier and investor is different rates.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a little bit lower, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Is there any more questions? All right. We've got another one from Leanne. Investment flows in the project. Can it be local buy?
Yes, of course. Yeah, it could be local, it could be foreigner. The thing is that Mega World has created a system wherein they can register that under Airbnb business. So there are a lot of Airbnb what you call it, operators in Metro Manila right now. So it could be foreigners, it could be local also in those investors floor. It could be mixed.
I see. Okay. All right. Oh, that's a good one. Okay. So we got another one from Lily again. Drew, when you mentioned about the vacancy is 10%, how is this being calculated?
Yeah, what Colliers and other agencies do is that they have the data of all the turnover properties together with the available properties in the market for residential, and then what they do is that they check also with the property management and property developers what's the availability or what's the vacancy in each building. So that's how they compute the 10% vacancy as well.
Okay. Okay.
So it's based on the turnover and available units or properties in the area.
Okay. Right. I think that answers the question. I have a question actually. When you feature the project about Park McKinley, which kind of tenant, like what would be the target market in the area? Like, yeah.
Okay, so the target market for that area would be more on the expatriates that are based in the area. And for the smaller units, even locals can actually rent it out. For us, I think around 30% of our transactions would be locals as well. There are those who are working in BGC or Bonifacio Global City or within the vicinity of McKinley West, and they're normally from the north, like for example, on the other side of Metro Manila. And because of the traffic, sometimes they wish to have a halfway house for work.
Happy house. Yes.
Halfway house, yeah. So,
House,
so definitely foreign clients, the expatriates, and also the local.
Yes. Okay. All right, Leanne. Looks like Leanne wants to buy, that's why she's asking a lot of questions.
Yes, please, Leanne.
Anyway,
You're very much welcome.
Why not? Diversification, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, right. I wonder if I should just unmute myself and ask directly.
Yeah. You can do that.
Perfect.
Do that,
More
Leanne?
interaction.
Yeah, Leanne. Yeah, come, you do that instead of me talking.
No, I just have that very interesting question. I noticed that a lot of your apartments, say the 2 bedrooms, you actually have a bedroom plus toilet in there. Is it kind of like a 3 bedrooms?
Yes, actually, you can actually utilize because honestly, when I saw the model unit before, I felt like that can be considered as a 3-bedroom unit. With the other developers here before, the maid's room is so little, like probably around 5 square meters. Okay, but then this time the maid's room is quite bigger. It's very decent. I think it could be around 12 square meters. Honestly, it's quite huge. It's quite huge. I would be jealous of the maid if they have that kind of space.
Maybe you can swap room with the maid.
I know, right? There's a special room for her. I was like, wow, that is very good.
I know.
No, that can actually be a 3rd bedroom simply because in this area, honestly, most of our clients are using they're asking the service of a stay out maid, meaning they just come in and go. So that is very wise actually. That gives you more space.
Yeah, more free. Yeah.
Can always turn into study as well, I guess.
Or if you have a guest, right? So, and Filipinos are very fond of having a lot of guests in their homes. So that's very perfect also. And I believe in some other Asian countries, in other countries also.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good idea. Okay, we got another question from Michelle. Michelle Lee. Okay, so Drew, is there capital gain tax? And also, does foreigner need to pay tax for rental income you receive?
Okay. For the rental income, honestly, if you're not issuing any, for example, if the tenant is not really demanding for an official receipt, then you're not really supposed to pay a tax for that. And if the income of your property is not more than 2.5 million pesos, then you're not supposed to pay any tax. So there's actually a cap wherein you have to pay taxes for your rental income.
Okay, all right.
You're welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Is there any questions? You guys can actually unmute yourself. You know, it's more of an interactive thing. You can
I
ask.
love it.
Yeah, you can ask more, not just the property. You can ask more about Philippines, and you know, so.
Okay, I'll stop typing now. Just ask.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's me again.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, Drew, I saw that your 2-bedroom size is actually quite big, like 100 plus square meter. Is that
106.
include the balcony or that's just internal?
Yeah, for the balcony is actually included already for 106. Yeah, but then if you get to the actual unit, to the model unit, it feels like bigger than 106, honestly. I was also surprised because I think with the configuration of the building and how they utilize the space, that makes a huge difference also.
Yeah, even if include the balcony, it's still considered quite big, like for 100.
Yes,
Like,
honestly,
it's
yeah.
huge.
It's huge,
Yeah. Okay, now I will unmute myself.
Thank you, Ian. I love the interaction. It feels more normal.
Yeah, okay. Okay, we've got another one. Okay, there we go. See more questions for you, Drew. Is that easy to get loan in Philippines? You asked by Michelle again.
Okay, if you're based in the Philippines, for example, if you're an expat, then staying in the Philippines for 2 years, then you can actually get a loan. All right, that's possible for foreign investors. But then if you're not based in the Philippines, if you're based abroad, a bank loan is not really an option for you. Either, like what we said, either you're married to a Filipina, or you're having a business in the Philippines, or you're availing the what do you call that, retiree visa. Excuse me. So I think that's something that we have that we can send out to you guys, the retiree visa application. So meaning, even if you're like 35 years old or 40 years old, and then if you wish to retire, or having a retirement plan in the Philippines simply because you love the beaches, or you love the nature, or you simply love Metro Manila, you can actually retire there and be issued by retiree visa. And that can be an option for you to get the loan also. So that is something that we can explore.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe. Good to read. Probably a good way to retire in Philippines, perhaps. Okay, we'll just take a couple more last, some questions before it gets too long. So, okay, Lily again. Does IQI Calavia provide property management services?
Yep. Yeah, we've been offering it to our foreign investors because it's very important that as they invest here, someone takes care of the rental, someone takes care of the facility management also. Because most of the time, the association only provides property management for the common area, right? And someone needs to take care of the unit itself with repairs, etc. So we take care of that. We handle that also.
It's good to know. Yeah. Hassle-free, so easy for investors.
Yes, that's the goal. So we provide end-to-end service for everyone.
That's good. That's good.
I unmute again.
Okay, so
I love it.
So with the property management, what sort of fee we're looking at?
Oh yes.
We're only charging 30,000 pesos to 50,000 pesos. So that's roughly around how much? Divided by 34 pesos. That's very cheap actually.
Divided by
very cheap.
Oh.
That's only
so that's less than 100,000. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh okay. Wow.
Yeah. Simply because we also get commission out of the when we lease out the property. So for us, I think that's more than enough to handle everything.
Okay. So not too pricey,
Yeah,
very affordable too. Okay. Great. Okay.
So Drew, so when you mentioned, right, you do manage the properties, right? So
Yes.
do you means right? You just list out, or you also included like correct the renter, you pay their bill, things like that.
Yeah, normally what we do is that we also pay their bills sometimes and pay their real estate tax. So that happens every year at the end of the year, and we're the one responsible for doing that. Especially for those who has no capacity to do online payment, because
Yep.
here in the Philippines sometimes we're not yet what do you call that, technology centered. We're in some of the government agencies are still on a manual or not really online payment. So
Mm.
it has to be done by us, by someone here.
Okay, that's good. So you have basically like one-stop shop, like one-stop shop for everything.
Yes, that's what we try to do. That's why we charge a little on the property management, because we would like to establish a good relationship with our clients, and we want to make sure first that they're happy before we charge something huge, you know. And for us, really, it doesn't really matter because it's less of a hassle to take care of the property. We have enough partners also to take care of the repairs, etc. So less stress for us.
Yeah, that's good because one of the key concerns for overseas investor will always right. If I buy it right, who is taking care of my property? That is because this will be like a long term things. Like it,
Exactly.
you buy, you settle. That is just like for very short term. But the thing is like for 10 or 20 years, right? Who is taking care of the property? That is much more concern. Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah. What happens
Okay.
for us is that after we lease it out, after we manage it, we're also the one handling for the secondary market. Like we sell it to other clients.
Yeah.
And that is a complete package that we can offer here in IQI.
Okay, that's good. So usually it's the tenants, right? When they, let's say they want to rent the properties, right? Usually it's what sort of terms that we are looking at? Like they will rent for half year, 1 year, or you like what is the standard terms?
Good question. For most of the developers, minimum is 6 months. So the building won't allow short term unless you're doing Airbnb business.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, but then 1 year is the normal lease of term here in the Philippines, and a lot of expats are staying here for 3 years because normally when they get a job here, their contract is normally at 2 years or 3 years, so they stay really longer. So as long as they're happy with the services of the landlord and the broker, and they're happy with the location and the unit itself, then they stay longer actually.
Okay, that sounds good. Which means that the market is quite stable. In here,
Yeah.
we actually have like half year they swap. I don't know why they love to move house. Okay.
The good thing here is that we have a very huge demand from all segments, like what I said, a BPO, multinational companies, and even the local companies. They're also availing the residential rental.
That's good. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to touch on when you touch on, Drew, about the capital appreciation. 29.1%. It is really amazing.
Yeah, I know. Shock.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Especially
Just to give you just to give it, just to give you an idea. Back in 2008, when we were still selling this area, BGC, it was an empty space actually, like a empty land. So the prices were only at around 3 million pesos. 3 million pesos back in 2008. Now those properties are being offered at around 8 million to 9 million pesos.
Oh.
So in a span of like 10 years. And again, for example, what happens is that after, for example, this Park McKinley West, we purchased 2 units in Park McKinley West in 2019 at around 8 million. Okay, right now it's already at 9 million at this point. So in a span of 1 year, it has grown additional 1 million pesos for your property. And we have only paid like maybe 10-15%, but then we have gained already money. So that's the beauty of
Yeah.
the capital appreciation here in the Philippines.
Yeah, that is very amazing. Samsung is going to lose some business here.
Oh no, I don't mean anything bad. No, it's good. We're gonna be getting more deals.
I think every country has different, opportunities. Like Philippines, we are really looking at the capital appreciation, and whereas, yeah, that's great. So, Drew, I think when everything is lifted, I think our team will come to Philippines already.
Yeah, we have to come and have a look. Yeah.
Property tour.
Yeah.
We'll be preparing for that definitely.
Yeah.
By the
Yeah.
way, we have video materials that we can share to you guys if ever you will have some clients who wish to see the property. Okay, we have virtual tours also prepared for you, so we can share it with the team.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that would be handy. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So all good. Everyone's just, I think, yep. So I think we'll wrap it up. So thank you once again. You know, I
Thank
mean,
you so much. Also, yeah, it's my pleasure to try to give you an idea of the Philippines because I know we have a different view of the Philippines from what we know. So at least somehow I have given some more light on the current situation of the Philippine market.
you did, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely a different perception of Metro Manila, and so much to explore. So
Mm.
yeah, okay. So thanks everyone for joining today. Thanks for your patience as well. I hope it's good information for you. Don't forget, we've got not next week, but the following week, at 17th of July, a Friday at 8 p.m. again, IQI WA will be sharing with you a property outlook on East Malaysia, Sabah, beautiful Sabah, and by speaker Joel Low from IQI Head of Team. So I hope you can join us in 2 weeks' time. And yeah, so thank you guys. Have a good
Thank you
night.
so much.
Thanks again,
Yeah.
Drew.
Thank you so much, Drew. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Drew.
Thank you. Bye bye. We'll
Yeah.
see you soon.
Thank
See you soon. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.